The doctor's office was supposed to be a place of hope, a place where two expectant parents would hear the sound of their baby's heartbeat. But for Sophia, it became a nightmare. Her husband, Daniel, a millionaire businessman known for his ruthless empire, had grown cold and distant ever since she told him she was pregnant. That day, emotions boiled over. In a shocking outburst, he slapped her across the face in front of everyone. Gasps filled the room, but what he didn't know was that a nurse, silently watching from the corner, had been recording the entire incident on her phone. Within hours, the footage spread like wildfire through the hospital staff. What was meant to be a private moment of cruelty soon spiraled into public scandal, legal battles, and a malpractice suit that would shake his empire to its core. What happened next would change their lives forever. Sophia's life had always looked perfect from the outside. She lived in a mansion, wore designer clothes, and was married to a man who could buy anything he wanted. But behind the closed doors of their estate, reality was far from glamorous. Daniel's temper was legendary, his pride fragile, and his love conditional. When she first found out she was pregnant, Sophia thought it would bring them closer. She imagined him softening, placing his hand on her belly, whispering promises of fatherhood. Instead, he grew colder. "This isn't the right time," he had snapped the night she told him. "Do you even know what this will do to my reputation, my schedule, my deals?" Sophia held on to hope anyway. That's why she begged him to come with her to the doctor's appointment. "Just hear the heartbeat," she had pleaded. It might change everything. The clinic was small, private, chosen to protect their privacy. The doctor greeted them warmly, but tension filled the room. As Sophia lay back for the ultrasound, the doctor smiled. "Congratulations, you're almost 3 months along. Everything looks healthy." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Daniel, searching for any sign of pride. Instead, his jaw tightened, his phone buzzed. He rolled his eyes and muttered, "I don't have time for this." "Something inside Sophia," snapped Daniel. "This is your child. Put the phone down and listen." The room went silent. He stood up, his face dark with rage. And then, without warning, his hand flew across her cheek. The sound echoed in the sterile room. Sophia gasped, holding her face in shock. The doctor froze. The nurse in the corner dropped her clipboard. "Are you insane?" Sophia whispered, tears burning her eyes. But before Daniel could respond, the nurse's trembling voice cut in. "Sir, everything you just did is on camera." Daniel's head whipped around. "What?" The nurse held up her phone, her hands shaking. She had seen too many women walk into clinics with bruises and silent tears. This time, she had proof. "You touched her in front of me, in front of the doctor. This is abuse. And I'm not letting it disappear." Daniel's face went pale. He lunged forward, but the doctor blocked him. "Leave now." Word spread quickly. Within days, Sophia was contacted by lawyers. The nurse had filed a report. Not only would Daniel face charges for assault, but the clinic itself faced a malpractice claim for failing to immediately protect a pregnant patient from harm. Sophia found herself at the center of a storm. At first, she felt broken, humiliated, trapped, and terrified of Daniel's wrath. But as the footage spread and public outrage grew, something shifted. For the first time in years, Sophia realized she wasn't powerless. She had proof. She had witnesses. She had the truth on her side. Daniel, meanwhile, scrambled to bury the scandal. His lawyers threatened lawsuits, his PR team tried to spin the story, and his empire trembled under the weight of headlines branding him as an abuser. But nothing worked. The video existed, undeniable, unshakable. Sophia's quiet nightmare had become his downfall. The days after the incident unfolded like a storm. Sophia couldn't escape. News outlets had caught wind of the nurse's recording, and by the end of the week, it was everywhere on television, on social media, even flashing across the screens. In Times Square, millions of strangers watched the moment Daniel Knight, a millionaire CEO, slapped his pregnant wife in a doctor's office. Sophia had lived with his temper in silence for years. She never thought anyone would believe her if she spoke out. But now the world had seen it with their own eyes. There was no hiding, no denying. At first, Sophia wanted to curl into herself, to retreat into the shadows. But the nurse who had recorded the incident refused to let her sink. Her name was Clara, and she became Sophia's unexpected ally. "You don't have to fight this alone," Clara told her firmly one night as they sat together, papers spread across the table. "What he did to you isn't just wrong, it's criminal. And the clinic failed you too. This could set a precedent. Sophia felt her chest tighten. The thought of going to court against Daniel, a man with endless resources and the best lawyers money could buy, terrified her. But every time she thought about staying quiet, she remembered the sting of his hand, the sound of her baby's heartbeat, echoing in the same room. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore, she was fighting for her child. The first hearing was brutal. Daniel's team painted Sophia as unstable, overly emotional, even manipulative. They claimed she had provoked him, exaggerated the situation, and allowed a private medical moment to be recorded. Their strategy was to twist reality until Sophia looked like the villain. But then Clara took the stand. She held her phone up as evidence, her voice unwavering. "I didn't record this for drama," she said firmly. "I recorded it because I saw a woman in danger, and I knew this wouldn't be the first time or the last unless someone spoke up." The courtroom hushed as the footage played on the big screen. Gasps rippled through the crowd when the slap echoed in the room. Sophia sat frozen, her hands trembling in her lap. But this time she didn't feel small. She felt seen. The truth was undeniable. Media outlets devoured the story. Headlines screamed across every platform. Millionaire CEO exposed in viral abuse video. Pregnant wife takes stand against powerful husband. Nurse hero sparks nationwide debate. What began as one shocking incident grew into something larger. Activists rallied outside the courthouse with signs demanding justice. Talk shows discussed the responsibilities of doctors and nurses to protect vulnerable patients. Women across the country began sharing their own stories of abuse, many saying Sophia's case had given them courage to speak up. Daniel's empire began to crumble. Shareholders withdrew support. His company's stock plummeted. Board members called emergency meetings, distancing themselves from him to save their own reputations. For the first time in his life, Daniel's power couldn't protect him. He was losing everything: his fortune, his position, his image. Sophia, meanwhile, faced nights of restless sleep, plagued by nightmares of his anger. Yet each morning, she grew stronger. She began attending therapy, leaning on Clara and a growing support group of women who saw her as a symbol of survival. She placed her hands on her growing belly and whispered promises. "You will never grow up in fear, not like I did." In the second phase of the trial, her lawyers pursued not only criminal charges against Daniel but also a malpractice suit against the clinic. The argument was clear. Medical staff had a duty to immediately protect a vulnerable, pregnant patient from physical harm. By hesitating even for a moment, the clinic had failed in their duty of care. The case sparked outrage. In medical communities, hospitals began reviewing their policies, adding training for staff to respond decisively to signs of abuse. For Sophia, it wasn't just about money, it was about accountability. "If this can save one woman from going through what I went through," she told her attorney, "then it's worth it." The trial dragged on for months, each hearing another battlefield. Daniel tried every tactic: apologies spun by PR teams, fabricated witnesses, even offers of financial settlements to silence her, but Sophia refused. "No settlement can buy back my dignity," she told the judge. "And no amount of money will erase what my child would have grown up seeing." The final verdict came on a gray afternoon. The judge's gavel struck with the weight of justice. Daniel was found guilty of assault, fined heavily, and sentenced to probation with mandatory counseling. The malpractice suit was settled in Sophia's favor, with the clinic pledging millions toward domestic abuse prevention programs. As cameras flashed outside the courthouse, Sophia walked out with her head held high. Reporters shouted questions, but she paused only once, turning to face the crowd. "I'm not a hero," she said quietly, her voice carrying more strength than ever. "I'm a mother who refused to let silence be my story. To every woman listening, you are not alone, and you do not have to endure abuse, no matter who he is." Cheers erupted from the crowd. Clara hugged her tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. That night, as Sophia sat in her small apartment, she placed her hand gently over her stomach. For the first time in months, she felt peace. The baby's heartbeat pulsed strong and steady inside her, a rhythm of hope and new beginnings. Daniel's name would fade from headlines. His empire would never be what it once was. But Sophia had something he could never reclaim: freedom, dignity, and the chance to raise her child in love, not fear. She whispered softly to the tiny life inside her, "We're free now, and we're never going back." This story isn't just about Sophia, Daniel, or a courtroom. It's about every woman who has been silenced, every nurse who has hesitated, and every child who has lived in fear of a parent's anger. Sophia's courage reminds us that silence protects no one, but truth can protect generations. If this story touched your heart, share it because someone out there might need the courage to take their first step toward freedom. Comment your thoughts below and let us know. Do you believe the nurse was right to record, even if it broke professional rules? Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories of survival, justice, and second chances. And remember, you never know who might need to hear this message today. By simply sharing, you could be saving a life.